While the cloud banking, cloud, and data centers take center stage, we're looking at talking about the future of data center and cloud. We're talking about best cloud development model for BFSI, email archiving and storage of voice and data, leveraging cloud as an analytics platform for real-time customer insights and reporting, exposing data and services through APIs and microservices, need for cloud data protection, systems and challenges of moving into cloud. Well, we have with us our panelists. First up, we have Atul Kumar, Chief Information Officer, Syndicate Bank. Atul currently working as the General Manager and CIO of Syndicate Bank. Having joined the bank in 2012, Mr. Kumar has taken care of the entire IT infrastructure of the bank, including delivery channels like the ATM, internet banking, mobile banking, and micro ATMs, using comprehensive financial inclusion programs. He's somebody who has introduced the tab Banking e-Passbook, e-Lounge in Bank, introduced a robust risk management framework for all IT processes. Next up, we have Praveen Kumar, Director IT India and Global Head of Assurance Barclays. Well, Praveen has 20 plus years of extensive industry experience. In his current role, he's responsible for the overall information and cybersecurity control strategy and in its implementation across India captive COE setups. In his expanded global role, he's currently responsible for the technology, data, and cyber assurance delivery, driving control strategy delivery in the newly set up device. Also, we have with us Amit Verma, the Executive Director, DBS India, Senior Executive and a visionary technology leader with over 22 plus years of experience. Amit has pioneered technology innovation and product development based on AI, blockchain, cloud, big data, machine learning, cryptocurrency, microservices, biometric, digital security, web, and e-commerce technology. We also have Srinivas Mupapeni, the Chief Information Officer, Telangana State Cooperative Bank, a creative, innovative, and a result-driven banking and strategy technology leader with over 35 years of rich experience. Srinivas believes in rapid transformation of banking using disruptive technology implemented at a swift pace. A firm advocate of digital-first banking and making banking simple, instantaneous, and personalized. His expertise is providing consulting services to 45 banking clients in India and Middle East. Well, this entire thing is going to be moderated by Arif Syed, the Senior Vice President of Technology, Bharti AXA General Insurance. Well, Arif is responsible for migrating technology setups from region to local, which involves setting up a fresh IT infrastructure and team locally. He was somebody who was able to migrate the infrastructure to cloud, having successfully implemented live video streaming setups for motor claim settlements, along with AI and bot-enabled claims registration processes. He's somebody who's deployed various AI and ML-based chat solutions for services and sale processes across the organization to bring in the efficiency in the operations. Well, with this, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome the incredible panel, and thank you so much for joining us. Over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Bhavna. I think let me just start with the panel member. Everybody can hear me? Am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So just to do a context setting, I think Bhavna has given a good introduction of all the panelists, so I will not get into the introduction again. The cloud services are growing, and everybody knows that clouds are coming, right? And it's raining heavily in Delhi, so people are really experiencing the cloud services in India, at least. But just on a serious note, cloud services are estimated to be a 250 billion market globally, and supposed to be growing, becoming $1 trillion market by 2027. 60% of this market share is basically by public service providers, which is largely dominated by Amazon, Azure, Google, and IBM. But then there is a 40% market share, which will be like dedicated by a private player, and then some of the hybrid model. SaaS, software as a service, is what has seen the highest growth market, but infrastructure as a service is largely popular as of now. But SaaS is growing and supposed to take over the infrastructure as a service in a couple of years' time. In India, coming back to India market, in India, the cloud market is growing at 25 to 30%, largely in retail and e-commerce platforms. But BFSI is a laggard, and BFSI is slow and reluctant to make the transition to cloud. Largely, there are concerns around data security, regulatory, and compliance. But we are hoping that with open banking architecture coming in and then cloud banking emerging, I'm sure BFSI, especially the banking sector, will adopt the cloud with an open arm. With this, let me just start taking the opening comments from my co-panelists. I think let's start with Amit. Amit, you can start saying what are your views on cloud banking?
Actually, I'm Atul. Okay, so I hope you are talking to me. You told me to start.
Yeah, it's okay, Atul.
Okay, Atul. Fine. So thank you, Mr. Arif. First of all, I would like to tell you that cloud adoption is very much on the cards as far as BFSI is concerned. If you really see the BFSI landscape, from day one today, though we are a large public sector bank, we have been getting competitive, I would say, spirit from multinational banks, new generation private sector bank, old generation private sector banks, NBFCs, and whole lot of other cooperative banks, But the issue is here, it is not about the adoption of cloud. The issue is whether we can adopt public cloud. As of now, the regulator says big no. You cannot get into public cloud. It is a big no for us. So that is why we would not discuss about public cloud. When it comes to private cloud, yes, we are in a big way getting into private cloud. Multiple services are offered here, and planned to be on private cloud. To tell you very frankly, that we find that private cloud is a dedicated cloud for us in our data center, much more secure. The kind of services we are looking for, it is available as and when we require. But I would also like to tell here that most of the service provider for cloud, they have bundled so many unnecessary services which are actually not used by the customers. And that is one of the reasons you will find that there is a hesitation among basically, I would say, BFSI customers also to use cloud as a service. But overall, to tell you very frankly that bank like us are heavily into blockchain. We have got a payment system on blockchain. We are into artificial intelligence. We are into IoT. For example, today, if I have to go for a recovery, my team goes for a recovery. He knows that, what is the warehouse, where it is located, and what is the stock item without, in fact, visiting the warehouse at all. We have a machine learning, for example, we have used machine learning, we have bots, and biometric is an integral part of all our, I would say, authorizations and attendance system. So if you see, BFSI is always ahead in adopting technology. But the only thing we lag behind is what we call as public cloud. And as I said, the reasons are purely regulatory that we will not be able to use till Reserve Bank of India permits us to use public cloud for any mission critical application or for any such application which can benefit to the bank. That is what I would say in the beginning. Thank you.
Thanks, Atul. I think that was very insightful, and we understand there are regulatory concerns around adopting of public cloud. But as you clearly said, that there are areas where you're adopting, especially attendance system, and there are other systems where you are adopting for non-core, non-critical applications. You guys are adopting public cloud or private cloud. So let me just bring in Praveen here. So Praveen, what are your views on regulatory concern or data security concern? Because regulator is definitely very strict and RBI said we are. So how do you see this is playing in India, at least in India market? Do you see regulator changing their stand in future, or this is going to be so like this for some time?
Sure, Arif. First, let me address the Atul concern. Atul, because I closely work with a number of regulators, including RBI, and there was view from RBI that not to move to public cloud. But I think now regulators, especially RBI, say we are open now. And I recently found IDRBT Cloud Security Framework as well. They have published. I think directly, indirectly, they are now encouraging banking sector to use the public cloud. I would strongly, request you to check with your regulator RBI that they are still stopping to move to the public cloud.
I will clarify once you finish.
Yes, I'm not sure about the public sector bank. That's why I'm keeping myself very limited. But yes, for MNC where I worked with like Deutsche Bank, JP Morgan, Barclays, I think a regulator is fine with that. Okay. And I think in this panel, I'm the only person who can talk about. I think there's something about the cloud security. Let me address the cloud security and the regulatory concern. Yeah, so no, regulator is it is more concerned on the data part, the data's confidentiality or availability part. And if you have seen the recent guidelines of RBI on the payment data, they're asking that this data should be available within the India, right? India geography. And so that that enforcement directorate and other CBI, etc., whoever our agency are, can access the data and as and when they need those data. And for that, we have the the large CSP cloud service provider like AWS, GCP, Google, or Microsoft Azure. And they all have opened the data center. They all are satisfying this requirement. In that way, we are addressing that regulatory concern as well, because they have the data center even in Mumbai and Hyderabad, the Bangalore, etc. And they are okay to comply with those payment data to be within the India geography. So that is also addressed for now. And personally, I'm big believer of cloud adoption. However, few are the checklist, or few are the that adoption methodology. One should keep in mind that that organization must understand the dual responsibility. As you all know that, right? Security of cloud is the responsibility of CSP, but security in cloud is the responsibility of customer like you and me. And that's why you should be very understand what data you are putting, what access control of those data you are creating, what kind of encryption. It's all in your hand, including the network control, including the data control, the user access control, the configuration of security, etc., etc. And I think all CSPs are very providing very flexible and number of features, so that one can experiment and suitable things can be adopted quickly. In that way, also CSP are very open, very proactive, and providing all the options to customer to how one can protect the data in the cloud. Second is that the access control is very important, and this is where organizations fail. They adopt in very fast pace without doing the due diligence. I would encourage that that all security professional of any bank or any BFSI should control the access of those data in the cloud. Also, the protection of data, as I said, that encryption, the key management, the data at rest, the security at motion kind of thing, all kind of data protection. There has to be one comprehensive data protection policy in place, so that we can keep control on those data which are in cloud. Securing the credential, like how we store and secure our keys in the manual system. Same way, we have to create the security of those keys, and we can adopt the key management features of different security provider, or it should be manually securing those keys as well. The few things as well, like security hygiene, and this is equally applicable as we provide the security to on-prem infrastructure. Similar kind of security can be replicated to the cloud as well. Basic hygiene is important, like patching, like that monitoring through the cloud trail kind of things, or logging, monitoring, etc., etc. Visibility is again very important, that what are the data you have put, what kind of infrastructures you have procured, what kind of services you are availing. So complete visibility and the complete framework should be in place before you move to that. In summary, Arif, I would, it's a great advocate of the cloud adoption, and I, as a customer and also as a cloud professional, I would encourage all to adopt the cloud. There are number of options available. There has been concern, but you can address concern, and customers are availing this cloud adoption and getting benefit during this pandemic period, like anything, be it remote working, be it secure connection, be it digital movement. Everywhere this cloud adoption is helping companies to survive. That's all from my side.
Thanks, Praveen. I think those were very encouraging words, and I think I Kanika, you are then saying CSPs, especially the cloud service providers, are taking a lot of efforts to comply to India requirement. And I think, as you rightly said, especially in insurance, we have seen the regulator has allowed us to host data on cloud, and with the only disclaimer saying you should have the facility to audit and then data should be stored in India.
Correct.
So those with those clauses, I think they fairly allow us, at least in insurance, to host data in cloud. With this, let me bring in Amit. Amit, I think, brings in the global perspective again. He is from DBS, and DBS has been winning awards of best digital banks for a couple of years. So Amit, what's your take on cloud adoption in banking, especially? How does DBS sees this?
Yeah, thanks for that mention there, Arif. It's certainly encouraging and rejuvenating to hear the reference there. So yeah, to your point, Arif, right? From my perspective and from our bank's perspective, right? And overall, I see even from a banking sector perspective, my view is this, right? Digital transformation, right, is certainly one of the key pillars of any banking and fintech institution at this point in time, right? And we are no exception to that, right? We did win to similar reference to yours as an award for being the best among the top 10 digital transformations globally, rated by Harvard over the last 10 years, right? And the reason I'm mentioning that is digital transformation is certainly key to our agenda, right? And the question that I would ask is why? Right. I think there are 2 or 3 different, angles or perspectives to that, right? If we take in this current pandemic scenario, right, we're talking about everybody, all of us are here on this call, virtually, right? I can very well imagine we will have team members across the board, for all of us who are working virtually, from their homes, from the comforts of their homes, right? In fact, we have gone ahead to a point where we are announcing and encouraging WFA, which is work from anywhere. Right, not just work from home. It could be their hometown. It could be whatever is best suited to their safety and security. Right. So the point I want to make is, if we take that virtual environment and operating in a virtual environment, a cloud environment is much more suited to doing that. Right, because then I'm getting to a point in time where I will be much more flexible to supporting things like VDIs, right, virtual desktops, right. Because in our own case, at a very short period of time, and I'll tell you this for sure, right? We had to make a choice in a space of 3 weeks to ensure that all of our members were productive working from home or working from anywhere. And we had to enable it because it was a choice between that and survival for us, right? And I know I can see Praveen and Atul and yourself as well nodding heads, right? So the fact is this, right? And a cloud environment and a virtual environment is certainly more suited to this virtual mode of operation, right? So from a workforce perspective, so that's one key lever I see there as well. And that translates not just for the technicians, right? It also goes for the consumers. It also goes for the customers. It also goes for the internal business users across the entire ecosystem, right? So that's one key rationale. The second rationale I see there, right, which is happening across the board and ecosystem here, is banking is becoming more and more invisible, right? Our own slogan, right, says that live more, bank less. That's what DBS's slogan is, which basically means, right, and if I was to just transpose that and put that into context, do I really want, as a consumer or an end user, to be standing in a queue, going into a retail branch and going and talking to people and doing things? The answer is no, right? People want it to be doing from the comfort of their phones, while they are reading, while they are talking, even done automatically behind the scenes, if they can facilitate that, right? So banking is becoming more and more invisible. But then for banking to be invisible, something else has to be in the forefront. So let me take the example, right, in this case, of a payment transaction, right, processing. If I go on to previously, I would go again in this virtual environment. You can talk about it as a good case, right? If I'm somebody who goes onto a retail website like Amazon, your pick or Flipkart, you can pick your favorite site, right? What is happening over there, right? Is people go there, they select what they need to do, they initiate a payment transaction, which eventually goes and hits the bank as well. So again, the bank there has gone into the background. It's become invisible to a certain extent, right? But the other factor which is happening because of that is there is a need for banks to integrate their supply chain, right, and their operational chain with other businesses and industries, in this case, retail industry, right? In this case, the logistics industry, so on and so forth, right? The payment service providers. So once that happens, then there's an automated need to suppose and support things like open banking, right? And by its very nature, open banking assumes people are supporting APIs, they're supporting microservices, right? And all of this paradigm again goes back to data and its presence as well. Where are you locating? How are you sharing data? And again, if data needs to be shared across all of these ecosystems, the cloud is much more easier and much more better and much more suited to be doing it. So again, from that perspective as well, right, we are veering more towards cloud-based solutions from our own side, right? And then finally, if I take another key aspect which is happening on the banking side, right, is the pace at which transactions are happening. Right. So in a traditional chain, I know very well, I can remember this from my own example when I was based outside of India, right, for a long period of time. Initially, I went in the late 1990s, early 2000s. I used to look to do a money transfer, and it would take around 5 days to 7 days for the money to be moved from one country to the other. Right. Now we're talking about doing that in microseconds, milliseconds. So transaction processing in banking and various other sectors has become really real time, right? And real time again means different parties coming together over a short period of time, in this case, pretty much, instantly, to do transactions processing, which then means that the data needs for it, the data architectures on it, right, also need to be supportive from a real-time perspective. And from a technology perspective, the architectures that come into picture, right, are real-time big data architectures, right, like the Lambda architecture, the Kappa architecture, all of those. And those all architectures are fundamentally based on the fact that data is distributed, right? And it is shared, easily shareable, not shared necessarily shared, but easily shareable, right, across different resources. That again is a lever which supports the movement to the cloud, right, from a data perspective as well. Now the question would be, if that is the movement towards the cloud, then what does it mean for the sharing of data? What does it mean in terms of the location of the data? What does it mean in terms of the cloud models, right? So again, traditionally, all sectors, including banks, have been very conservative to say, I am going to protect my data with my both hands and keep sure that I have it on-prem. I'm not going to make sure that anybody else is going to get it, right? I want to build it in my own private data centers and so on and so forth. But again, in this model, you're talking about sharing. If there is data which is already publicly available, then why are you going to try to protect it? If the data is not confidential, right? If it's not going to give you any competitive advantage, then it makes more and more sense to share it, right? And from that sharing perspective itself, what I am seeing in our own sector and our own industry is the move towards hybrid cloud models, right? So what we're looking to do in that scenario, right, is if we have PII data, right, so personal identifiable data. If I have CII data, which can identify customers, so credit card information and so on and so forth, right? Those are data points which we are looking to put under potentially lock and key in-house, right? But if we have other kinds of data, which is in none of those two categories, then we are looking to put it in a hybrid-based model, which is in the cloud. And then we're connecting the two, right, through API gateways, through load balancers, whatever technology sets are there, right, to ensure that is how we basically do our transaction processing as well. So the need in that case, right, is not necessarily to go to the private cloud instance in this case. We will be using the publicly available one as much as possible, right? So that's pretty much where we are heading, Arif, from our perspective. Hope that answers your question.
Thanks, Amit. I think that was very insightful. Let me just bring in with Mr. Srinivas. So, Mr. Srinivas, you have been heading State Bank of Cooperative Bank of Telangana. So, with your perspective from your side, how do you see the cloud playing out in your bank or your environment?
Yeah, thanks, Arif. After hearing from Mr. Atul, Praveen, and Amit, there is a mixed kind of opinions that we received. Actually, I came from a public sector bank and then I moved on to the MNCs across the globe, and again I landed in cooperatives now. So after seeing this, what I understand is that cloud is an inevitable situation, inevitable thing for any of the industry, not only for the banking. But as Mr. Atul initially mentioned, the regulator is not allowing the banks to move on to the cloud is partially correct. and regulator is not stopping us to move on to the cloud, but regulator is putting a lot of responsibility on the data owner. Praveen tried to explain the responsibilities of the cloud service provider and also the client. But here the major problem which is coming is the responsibility of the data is completely lying with the client, whereas the data is lying with the cloud service provider. So there the RBI very categorically mentioned that cloud service provider is not at all, we don't deal with the cloud service provider, and the bank itself has to be responsible. So in this scenario, what we have done from our end is, I'm handling 24 banks, almost I have around 10 million customers. So these 24 banks, what I have done is, I have created a separate private cloud through which I am providing services to all my banks internally. So when I go to the public cloud, as Atul mentioned earlier, a bouquet of services they are giving. And for that, when we calculate the charges, because everything moves on the money only. So when we are calculating all these things, cloud service providers are charging abnormally when compared to our own costing. So, and because I'm handling for 24 banks, I'm managing all the data centers, networks, DR, everything. So what I believe is that if the service charges of the cloud service providers comes down, and also when the responsibility of the security is taken over, or regulator identifies and regulator gives some leverage to the client on the data security, and some responsibility has to be shifted onto the cloud service provider, then this definitely cloud services can be improved. But one thing is very sure, what I observed is the scalability is very, very fast when we adopt to the cloud. Because I am handling almost 1,000 ATMs, so 5,000 micro ATMs, and also around 1,600 brick and mortar branches across the states of Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. Sometimes I am feeling difficulty in providing this connectivity, but if I move on to the public cloud, it will be more easy for us to implement kind of digital channels. And also if the network improves in the rural areas, because I handle more branches in rural areas, there we are facing challenges. Definitely Mr. Atul also will support this thing, because he is also handling more number of rural branches. So cloud is definitely a very good solution if some of the issues raised by myself and Atul are addressed in this area. So this is from my end.
Great. Sorry, if I may just add to Mr. Srinivas's point, that Srinivas, you really hit the nail on its head, as you said, in terms of the. So sorry for interjecting there. So in terms of the security and the essence, right, of ensuring that security measures are put in place before somebody jumps onto the cloud, right, the public cloud. And again, from my own experiences, in my prior role in Citibank and so on and so forth, right, what we did do, there are a couple of steps we took, right. One is we did negotiate our SLAs, including our security SLAs, right, with the cloud service providers very stringently. So that's one thing that we did, because unless you have that net and cushion, right, and you're putting that in strong, governance in place, you're always going to have a problem. So again, the governance mechanism of SLAs and governance around that is one. But secondly, what it also did, right, was introduce new solutions which are not necessarily part of a typical package that a cloud service provider, public cloud provider will do, right. So just to give an example, we implemented a solution called as Darktrace, right. What Darktrace does is that it actually traces your entire data from its point of origin to its consumption, end to end. Whether it is within your private environment or your public environment, it just does all of that, right? So again, by implementing solutions like that, right, we ensured that we got that additional level of comfort when it came to interacting with the public clouds. And I think those two are key, right? One is putting the right governance steps and your measures in place to ensure that you have control over your data, A, and then B, also making sure that you have a good monitoring system put in place around the data that you are that you're exposing outside, or even within your own ecosystem, because sometimes some of the biggest threats are there, the insider threats which are there within any organization. So we have put those control checks and bounds in place to make it more safer and give us some risk mitigation against the exposure from public clouds. Thanks for that. Thanks for that opportunity, Arif, and thanks for this view, Srinivas.
Thanks, Amit, and thanks, Mr. Shiva. So I think primarily there are points which I pick up from both your discussion. One is data ownership and then data governance. So this is a very important aspect of when you're moving to cloud. And the other point which Amit spoke about and which is a very relevant point in today's scenario is the pace and the growth of the digital transaction. So what the digital transition is growing post demonetization in India. I think we have seen 4-5x of our digital transition growing in India. With that, I think we'll coming back to Atul. Atul, how do you see this is spanning out, and how are you planning to match up to a digital transition growth in your environment? Actually, let's say if regulator is not keen to open up for cloud.
Yeah. So I think I again clarify. First of all, cloud is very much there. The only thing I said that public cloud. Today, I cannot host my core banking in public cloud. And core banking, as Mr. Srinivas, Mr. Amit, everybody knows and understands the technology very well as far as banks are concerned. So I was coming from that perspective. And as far as IDRBT cloud is concerned, Syndicate plus Canara, we are now part of Canara Bank, and we are now more than 10,700 branches, almost 10 crore of customers, and more than 15,000 ATMs. So you can understand the size at which we are operating in. So those things are still a big go for public cloud. When I say that, I also want to tell you about the current infrastructure of our country, and I think Mr. Srinivas will understand it much better. We have almost 60% of the branches in rural area out of 10,700 branches, and there even today we have got some branches on VSAT. There is no 4G, 3G available. See, I am right now sitting in Bangalore in Korbangla. I have to struggle to get a 4G here. And if I have to, I am paying to Airtel. I have named the service provider also. But, how many places in Bangalore 4G is available? I am sure Mr. Amit or, whoever is in Bangalore, they can, watch for me that even 3G is not available at many places. And you move 30 kilometers away from Bangalore, you get only 2G. And probably you have to run across to get an internet connection. So the country's infrastructure really needs a lot of improvement before we can really declare all digital. All communication networks need to really improve in a big way. 5G, which was coming somehow, thanks to government and other things, now Huawei is out of the picture. So BSNL is still in 3G, and other service provider who wanted to get into 5G, probably the current infrastructure and the current service provider will not be able to match the kind of scale which we require. And the company which could match it is out of the scenario now. So the scenes in India is totally different. We can really talk about it. DBS Bank is lucky enough to be Singapore based, one of the world's best infrastructure. I remember 10 years back, we used to pass by a car and, automatically our, card will be debited and amount is debited for your toll. So this I have seen maybe 15 years back in Singapore. But in India, still, there is a huge amount of work which needs to be done on the infra side. Until unless we do that, it is not going to really help us in a big way. Yes, adoption of private cloud is going to happen. Multiple service providers are coming. But you name the service provider and tell me which service provider data is not breached in public cloud. I want to know one name from Mr. Praveen particularly, because he was talking about cloud service provider. You tell me one cloud service provider where data is not breached, whether it is Amazon, whether it is Google. So the security.
So I'll tell you, Atul.
Sure.
Whatever breach has happened, not because of service provider, because of the customer's fault.
I am not blaming anybody. I'm just telling there has been breach. And ultimately today, there is a wise saying which says that you cannot outsource your responsibility. So RBI rightly says, whatever you do, responsibility is yours. You cannot say that I have hosted in cloud and there is an attack and data breach in the cloud, so I am not responsible. So seeing this current scenario, according to me, is not that easy to get into a public cloud mode for a BFSI industry as of now. But yes, private cloud is coming in a big way. And most of the organizations, they are setting up their data center, they are setting up private cloud, and they are using the services which are necessary. And again, I'm repeating, I think Mr. Srinivas will watch for it. that cloud service provider gives so many unnecessary services, and leading to which the entire cost of operation becomes very high. So if you have to set up your own cloud, it will be almost half of the cost. So that is another area which we really need to look at it. Licensing policy, you have dominance of one player. The entire database in the entire country for all bank is in one OEM's hand. So he is charging you 22% annual maintenance contract. So there are a number of issues, though we talk about technology, that we can have multiple databases. The fact remains that even today, the core banking runs in only Oracle. There is nobody else. So there are multiple areas which we really need to improve. Then only we can say that we are ready for cloud kind of infrastructure, and we need to adopt the newer technology and data center viewpoints. That is what I would like to say.
So Atul, I'll take this offline with you maybe sometime.
Yeah,
but whatever challenges you are facing, the only solution is for you to cloud. And cloud, I'm not saying that you start with the migrating to your core banking data to the cloud. But other than core banking, which is not your crown jewels, like replicating some of your non-critical data, why do you procure the storage, so costly storage? You can put it in cloud. This is journey, 3 to 5 years journey. Again, I would advise you, please check with your regulator. I'm sure RBI is not stopping to moving to the public cloud as well. However, this core banking data, please restrict. Maybe after 3 years you can think of, but other than core banking, you can migrate.
No, so Praveen, I think I'll take that question to you straight away.
Okay.
So you say core banking, don't take core banking. Okay.
No, I'm not saying. I'm just suggesting, just because he has the mindset that core banking we cannot take. You can take that as well to cloud.
So there are concepts which are evolving, right? Bank as a bank in a box, and then open banking APIs. So how do you see the adoption of those services, emerging technologies in India, Indian bank especially, with the mindset, like Atul said, there are challenges around infrastructure, there are challenges around ownership of data, and these are very valid concerns, right? So even RBI says that, so data ownership lies with you. You can't abscond saying, okay, I have stored data in cloud, so it's a cloud owner's responsibility and not my responsibility. Those are real concerns, right? So how do you pitch, let's say if you're a cloud service provider, how do you want to pitch to some of these CIOs of large banks actually?
Exactly. I think I'm happy to connect with Atul offline on this, and I want to start my convincing with him first. Okay, I can see that. What I would suggest, right, that this pandemic has also created some kind of opportunity. The pace we move to the cloud never has been done in past, right? The last 6 months we have seen that working from home and providing the number of digital channels to their customer, and always your services are available. These are the pressure all CIO is getting due to this pandemic. And to address this, and you talk about the API to address, and also someone talk about the open banking kind of thing. These are the digital channel, right? And unless you adopt this digital channel, which is not only very fast pace, and you can create the new channel to your customer, you can reach to the customer in very fast pace, but also it is quite cost effective, and also this is secure. Okay, so these are 3 advantages you are getting. I'll tell you that's open banking or microservices. I think Amit had talked about in brief. These are the DevOps mindset, and DevOps mindset. I see that Indian bank or Indian institution are still very, very, very far from the DevOps, or kind of they are on the SDLC side kind of mode, which takes a lot of time. Once you move to the DevOps, then it cannot be provided. This particular culture cannot be provided with your monolithic the on-prem infrastructure or private cloud, right? And this cannot be, even you cannot imagine unless you move to some kind of public cloud.
Topic is very interesting. We are running out of time, so
I know.
I'd like to have a closing remark from Mr. Amit and Mr. Srinivasan. Amit, your closing remark, and was that Mr. Srinivas, you can have your closing.
Thanks for that, Arif. No, again, so from my perspective, right, cloud is a necessity, right? that is upcoming, right? I think it's high time for organizations to start their journey, right? The journey doesn't have to be on the public cloud itself, right? As Praveen was mentioning earlier, right? I think it's a good way to get to a point where we are able to optimize our business operations, A, and B, at the same time, ensure that we are positioned well for future growth, right? That's my view of it, right? But then again, having said that, data security is certainly very important, and ensuring that the right practices, governance measures, right, checks and controls are put in place are equally important, because there's no such thing like taking a plunge from a cliff and expecting things to be fine, right? A company which jumps into cloud without really making sure that the data privacy and security and all those concerns are properly and adequately handled, the right governance steps in place, is certainly asking for disaster. So I think it's a need of the hour. It will get even more stronger. It is a great enabler for digital transformation and business growth. But the steps have to be rightly evaluated from a risk perspective and actions taken. That's how I would summarize it, Arif.
Thanks, Amit. Mr. Srinivas?
Yes. Mr. Arif, yes, the cloud is inevitable. We have to move on. So from this current on-prem model from the banking, it has to be converted into the hybrid cloud model initially, and later, once the governance structure is established, and also the expertise. The major point is now the Praveen is talking on two technical things. So it means the cloud service providers are highly technical and very well knowledge about the technology and application management, and also how to avoid the responsibility related to the data. So that much of knowledge or that much of technical these things, know-how will not be there with the clients. So here, many of the clients are very much afraid of moving into the public cloud. So in fact, I myself, I am telling you, I am afraid of moving to the public cloud because of the so many restrictions and also the clauses which are there in the with the service provider, CSP. So there are major challenges that we are facing. So I'm happy to continue with my private cloud. But the major challenge would be I cannot scale up. I cannot scale up my operations unless I move on to the public cloud or to the hybrid cloud. So definitely, future is with the public cloud, and cloud service providers are also have to be more transparent in dealing with the smaller clients like our cooperatives. So thank you. This is from my end.
Thanks, Srinivasan. Thanks, everybody. I think this was very interesting and interacting discussion. I think a lot of people got engaged in it. And seems we have a lot of questions from audience here. And I'm sure some of the cloud service providers are also hearing your concerns around unnecessary services getting bundled, your concerns around data security, data ownership, and other. I'm sure they might be working on to address that. Over to you, Bhavna. If you have, we are happy to take questions from attendees, actually.
Arif, actually, we started at 2 o'clock and we've already overshot 35 minutes of the panel discussion. So unfortunately, our next panel is already waiting, and we would have to wrap up right now.
Sure.
That's fine.
So thank you so much, Mr. Srinivas, Praveen, Arif, and Atul. What an incredible panel discussion it has been. I love the way you all were interacting. It felt like as if it was a physical room of interaction, and you ensured that it only could get better. And thank you so much to all our panelists. This has been an incredible panel discussion. So thank you once again to all our panelists, Arif, who moderated it so well, Srinivas, thank you so much. Praveen, thank you so much. Atul, thank you so much for being a part of this cloud panel discussion. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Arif.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Amit.